Hey everybody, here we are at the very beginning of September. Yesterday we had some all-day heavy rains and we're predicted for rain more this week, which is great for the garden. We're out of the hundreds, still in the 90s, but it's way better for the garden that we get out of those blistering heat. So here's a little update of what we got going on so far. So fall garden, we want to see what we can grow in the fall. Never really done that. Tried last year, we weren't really successful, but we didn't have the raised beds and everything that we have now. So here's what we got so far. There's some nice beans in the background, some pole beans that go up the trellis. So we got some beans planted, and here's some more additional beans planted. We got cannellini beans, and we're gonna grow some fava beans and things like that. These things I started from seed, so here is some broccolini, some broccoli rabe. Hopefully it's still not too hot for these to kind of grow. I'm kind of trying to time it here as best I can. If it's too hot, well, we can always try again. But put these seedlings in here. Something's kind of munching on some of the leaves, so I got to be careful that we don't got stray caterpillars or something eating this. Some Brussels sprouts are right here. Put that in. With the raised beds, we put a lot of the mulch on the top to keep things cool, which is great. That hopefully will keep us from having to water so much. Our rogue turmeric and ginger growing well out here in between these two beds. Here I've put some kale that I had from seed. I started them on the seed greenhouse, so we'll put them out. And then here are some transplants that I got from the local store. A little, again, Brussels sprouts and some kale. Again, these little things. Looks like something's eating the leaves. I have to make sure. Yeah, right there. Look at that, Mr. Caterpillar. So we might have to give this a shot of diatomaceous earth to stop these guys from eating everything up. Yeah, they're all over there. So we'll give them a spray for all these. But otherwise, hopefully, they're gonna do well. Some of these older leaves, and then the centers. Again, we're putting them out when it's just starting to get cool. Is it, too hot, too cool? Still, we'll find out. Here are some of the ginger that I planted in the spring. Same with the turmeric. How are we doing back here? Let's do a little walkthrough. So my bucket experiment, which is kind of a hybrid Kratky system, the ghost peppers and those type of peppers are taken to the buckets. It's just getting close to the end of the season, so if I would have started them a little earlier, I'm going to try to overwinter them in the garage though. My ground cherries, they're growing. They look a little, maybe they need a little more nitrogen or something. They're a little peaked there. But they're kind of growing in the bucket. It was an experiment that I'll probably try doing next year as well. The eggplants that I planted earlier, they're starting to catch now. Now that the temperature's kind of gone down, they've kind of picked up and flowered, which is great. My tomatoes were just burnt up too little, not good enough. Some of the other peppers are starting to flower here now that the weather changed. It's funny how they sense that the temperatures start to get below 100, get into the 90s and 80s. Those flower productions start, and you can see that they've kicked back in. Hopefully I'll get a little something out of them here. Here's a continuation of some of the peppers and eggplants on this side. The fig tree, the tree's gotten bigger. No figs this year though. It's new. I might put it in the ground, but it's in the container right now. Back here, the cayenne peppers and jalapeno peppers and things like that. Here's one that I missed. Look at that guy right there. Nice jalapeno pepper. Let me just pick that. I'm letting the other ones get a little bit bigger. They're growing pretty well. I put some new cucumber plants down here, some of the Armenian variety. I pulled the old ones up. They've basically grown up this trellis and over into the neighbor's yard and even up that tree. It's really funny how they grew. The string has to be restrung though. I got to put some more ties on it. But anyways, some new cucumbers in the ground. Let's hope they catch and don't get eaten by anything. The production of cantaloupe have been doing really well. lots of little cantaloupe that we've been pulling off, and in order to protect them from the rodents, whoever's eating them at night, we put in these flower pots over the top of them to kind of hide them. It's worked so far. We just got to make sure we pick them when they're ripe. Some of them were just a little green, but we kind of picked them in anticipation of better to pick than get eaten, but they really weren't ready. But these were going to give a little bit longer time. So wherever we find one, we put a bucket over it. Back here, we need to start planting some stuff for the fall garden in the back. We got some room here. I don't know if tomatoes are going to be possible here at the end of the year like this. They'd have to go into the ground now, and I'm not too sure. The peppers are doing well. You can see all the Hungarian wax peppers are doing well. I have to come through and pick those. And then the jalapenos, and then the peppers back there. We still got the watermelon growing back there, the small watermelon. I've trellised it too, just in case we, get something more there to pick them up off the ground. The rogue spinach, the Malabar spinach, it's really growing and really trellising up. Boy, this stuff is like a weed. It just wants to grow and grab anywhere it can. And this is all from last year. I didn't plant this. It came up through inches of mulch to reach the sunlight, and so I'm just kind of letting it do its thing. Oh, here's another cantaloupe that's growing. It's really a strong plant, folks. It really does super well. The tomatoes that I had planted back here that I put in July, just a wrong move. Too hot, too much sun, they burned up. The cucumber plants here, they're holding on. Basically, there's a lot of these little white flies you can see. I've sprayed it a couple times to stop the damage that's been eating the leaves. So we'll probably need to give them another shot. Kind of organic fertilizer. Here, these big Italian cucumbers, big giant leaves. The plant looks strong. I haven't got anything coming out yet, though. You can see that, the tip broke off of this one. Look at that. The storm must have done it yesterday. But it's growing, but there's just the bugs. I got to give them another spray to protect the leaves. Hopefully we'll get something out of them. Kind of an experiment here. In the back here, we've done some trellising up of the blackberries. As you can see, they're getting very tall, so I've started to secure them up and clean it up and get them up off the ground. As soon as they get a little higher, I can trellis that up. But the blackberries are doing good here. The sweet potatoes, you can see that they've just turned into a forest back here. This truly is food forest back here. And same with the sunchokes. They have gotten so big, and then when it rains, they tip over. I secured them, but they fell down. I'm going to have to do something a little better for these guys back here going forward. Don't want them to grow over. The blackberries back here are really growing. I need to come back here and trim them up too and kind of prune it. They really are getting big, and it needs some work done there. It's just getting overgrown, and those ones here got the thorns, so it's always very picky when you come back there. But I need to kind of trellis these guys up and get them a bit more in order. You can see that instead of having the cantaloupes grow along the ground and taking up my walking space, I've gotten more trellises here with the concrete mesh wire, building some trellises so that going forward I will trellis these guys up, and that way save some of my real estate. Alright, the strawberries are back there. There's growing big strawberry plants, even though the other cantaloupes are covering them. Same with the raspberries. The raspberries are starting to grow up. I need to trellis those guys up there too, give them some more space. But anyways, here's this side of the garden update. So let's take a look at the other side too.